The wonderful creative power of the mind. Introduction. There is a moment in every person's life when they pause, look at their circumstances, and whisper a quiet question that changes everything. What if the world I see is not the limit of what is possible? Perhaps you've felt this question rising in you for years. Perhaps you've sensed that there is more to your mind, more to your inner world, more to your potential than anyone ever told you. And perhaps that is why you're here now, listening to these words. This is not an audiobook of theories. It is not a collection of nice ideas meant to entertain you. It is a doorway, a quiet opening into a truth that has always been waiting beneath the surface of your life. Your mind is the most creative force you possess, and you have barely begun to use it. If you listen closely, not just with your ears, but with your attention, you will begin to feel something awakening inside you. You will sense that your thoughts are not passive. They are alive, they are magnetic. They move ahead of you, shaping the road you walk long before your feet touch it. Everything you've struggled with, everything you've desired, everything you've feared. Each of these has been responding to the vibration you carry, and the moment you change that vibration, your life begins to change with it. This audiobook is a guide to that transformation, not through force, not through blind optimism, but through understanding. You will learn how the mind truly works, how the conscious and subconscious interact, how desire becomes direction, how thought becomes vibration, how belief becomes reality. And most importantly, you will learn how to take back the inner authority you unknowingly gave away to circumstance, fear, and habit. Think of this as a conversation with a mentor who sees your potential clearly, perhaps more clearly than you see it yourself. A mentor who would never let you shrink into the smallness you've accepted for too long. A mentor who places a hand on your shoulder and says, "It is time to remember what you are capable of." As you move through these chapters, you will begin to feel something subtle but unmistakable, a shift, a rising, a sense of power returning to its rightful place within you. It will feel like clarity. It will feel like alignment. It will feel like waking up from a long sleep into a life that responds to you instead of the other way around. Stay with this audiobook. Let each idea unfold inside you. Let each chapter build its momentum. You are not just listening to words. You are activating the most powerful force you have ever known, the wonderful creative power of your own mind. And once you awaken it, your life will never be the same. Chapter 1. The wonderful creative power of the mind. There comes a moment in every person's life when they stop, look at the circumstances around them, and feel something stirring inside. A question, a whisper, a quiet recognition that something here isn't just happening by accident. Maybe you've felt it before. The sense that your experiences are somehow connected to the deeper movements of your own mind, that life is reflecting something back to you, even when you can't quite explain how. That's not imagination. It's not a coincidence. It is the beginning of understanding the wonderful creative power that has always lived within you. Most people drift through life without ever examining the force that shapes their destiny. They are pushed by circumstance, pulled by habit, swayed by moods, and influenced by the thoughts of others. They act as if life is something happening to them rather than something that is responding to them. But you are here now, and that alone tells me something important. You are beginning to wake up to the truth that your mind is not a passive observer. It is a creative instrument, a force, a magnet, a living center of energy capable of drawing into your experience exactly what harmonizes with its dominant state. I want you to hear this clearly, as if I were sitting across from you, speaking directly into your awareness. Your thoughts are not empty. Your thoughts are not trivial. Your thoughts are not harmless. Your thoughts are creative power in motion. Every idea you hold, every feeling you sustain, every belief you nurture, every expectation you cling to, they are all builders of your future. They are currents of energy moving outward and returning to you multiplied. Most people don't realize this because they never learn to look beneath the surface of life. They evaluate events only by what the physical senses show. They see a setback, and they call it bad luck. They see success, and they call it coincidence. They see relationships form or dissolve, and they attribute it to external forces. Rarely does anyone stop and ask, what thought was I consistently thinking? What feeling was I continually feeding? What expectation was I quietly rehearsing? Yet the truth remains, life mirrors the mind. It cannot do otherwise. Just as a magnet cannot help but attract iron, your mind cannot help but attract the experiences that match its inner vibration. You may try to fool yourself with positive words, but if your inner state is filled with fear or resentment or doubt, life will echo those vibrations with precise fidelity. And the opposite is also true. If you cultivate confidence, expectancy, and clarity of purpose, life will rise to meet that level with responses that seem almost miraculous to the untrained observer. Let's be honest for a moment, perhaps painfully honest. You have experienced both sides of this truth. You have seen times when everything fell into place with ease, almost as if life itself were helping you. You've also lived moments when everything seemed to work against you, when problems arrived in clusters and nothing responded to your efforts. These were not random seasons. They corresponded to your inner climate at the time. When your mind grew hopeful, open, trusting, and determined, the world seemed full of opportunity. When your mind grew fearful, resentful, discouraged, or confused, the world seemed filled with obstacles. And now you are beginning to see why. Your mind was not merely reacting, it was creating. It was selected. It was attractive. I'm not here to give you superstition or fantasy. I'm here to give you the truth that has been observed, tested, and rediscovered by thinkers for generations. Thought is a force. It is a vibration as real as sound or heat or light. It radiates outward through the mental atmosphere around you, and similar vibrations respond to it. Think of yourself as a broadcasting station. Every thought you think is a signal, and that signal doesn't vanish into nothingness. It enters the mental space we all share, a vast field of energy that connects every mind. Within this field, vibrations organize themselves around harmony. Fear resonates with fear. Confidence resonates with confidence. Anger resonates with anger. Love resonates with love. This is why someone in a bad mood seems to attract more negativity, and someone in an inspired state seems to open doors effortlessly. You have felt this before. Think of the days when you woke up feeling strong and ready. You felt capable. You felt that the world was wide open, and in that state, you recognized opportunities others overlooked. People were drawn to you. Solutions appeared where you once saw problems. This was not an accident. It was an attraction. Your positive, focused mental state placed you on a different frequency, allowing you to receive inspiration, assistance, and circumstances that matched your vibration. Now think of the days when you were weighed down by doubt. Everything irritated you. Everything seemed difficult. Even simple tasks felt heavy and draining. Your mind was tuned to a channel of limitation, and life echoed that state with situations that matched. Again, this was not an accident. It was the law of attraction at work, responding to the quality of your mental environment. This is where the conversation becomes critically important. If your mind holds the power to shape your experience, and it does, then responsibility and opportunity both rest in your hands. You cannot change the world by fighting it. You cannot bend circumstances through force alone. But you can change your inner state, and when you do, your outer life begins to shift accordingly. This is not instant magic. This is the law. This is cause and effect. This is the physics of consciousness. Let me speak plainly. The mind you possess right now is not fully used, not even close. You walk with a force in you that is stronger than your fears, greater than your past, deeper than your doubts, and capable of transforming your entire existence. But this force must be directed. It must be consciously applied. It must be taken seriously. Otherwise, it will continue operating by habit and accident, producing results that seem chaotic and inconsistent. Look at your life as it stands today. Observe it with clear eyes, not judgment. See the successes and the disappointments, the breakthroughs and the stagnations, the joys and the recurring challenges. They form a pattern. And that pattern reveals the kind of thoughts you've habitually entertained. Your relationships reflect your beliefs about connection, trust, and self-worth. Your finances reflect your beliefs about abundance, opportunity, and capability. Your emotional life reflects your beliefs about safety, identity, and possibility. Your career reflects your beliefs about competence, value, and direction. Life is a mirror, and the mirror is honest, even when we wish it wasn't. But here is the good news, perhaps the greatest news you will ever truly absorb. Mirrors don't create, they reflect. Change the source, and the reflection must follow. If you change your thinking, your world must rearrange itself. This isn't poetic language. This isn't motivational flavor. This is the mechanics of consciousness. Thought is the origin. Experience is the result. The invisible always precedes the visible. The inner always shapes the outer. You may have been taught otherwise. You may have been conditioned to believe that life responds to effort alone, or to luck, or to other people's decisions. But deep down, you know there is more to the story. You have sensed the moments in life when something aligned with you long before you took action. When doors opened because you believed. When opportunities appeared because you were ready. When life seemed to meet you halfway because you were willing to meet it with expectation. Let me reveal something essential. Life always meets you at the level of your belief. Not the beliefs you speak out loud, but the beliefs you hold quietly, deep within, in the private chambers of the mind. This chapter can change you if you let it, because once you accept that your mind is creative, that your thoughts are vibratory forces, that you are a magnet in a world of energy, then everything becomes possible. The limits you accepted as truth begin to dissolve. The identity you carried as a passive receiver of life begins to crack. You start to sense that you are not small, you are not powerless, you are not destined to remain as you are. You are the mental architect of your destiny, whether consciously or unconsciously. Most people live unconsciously. Their thoughts wander, drift, repeat, and recycle old patterns. They allow their minds to feed on fear, conflict, gossip, resentment, and doubt. And then they feel confused when life manifests the same conditions. They assume life is unjust when, in truth, they have been using the creative power of their mind in a destructive way. You cannot plant seeds of anxiety and expect a harvest of peace. You cannot plant seeds of indecision and expect a harvest of success. You cannot plant seeds of resentment and expect a harvest of love. You cannot plant seeds of lack and expect a harvest of abundance. Every thought is a seed, and your mind is always planting. Right now, as you listen to this, your mind is generating vibrations. They will not disappear when this chapter ends. They will continue working, attracting, shaping, and forming. This book, this moment, this awakening, this is your opportunity to take control. Let me speak even more directly, because you deserve clarity. Nothing changes in your outer world until something changes in your inner world. You can change jobs, you can change partners, you can change locations, you can change routines, but if your mind remains the same, your results will eventually repeat themselves. The circumstances may look new, but the pattern will be familiar because the cause hasn't shifted. Change the mind, and the world changes with it. This is why understanding the creative power of thought is the foundation of all personal transformation. You cannot build a new life on an old mental foundation. You cannot attract new experiences with old vibrations. You cannot step into a higher level of living with a lower level of thinking. Your thoughts must rise before your life can rise. Your beliefs must expand before your opportunities can expand. Your expectations must grow before your results can grow. This is the law. Now, as your mentor in this moment, let me give you something practical, something you can begin using right away. And remember, this is not a ritual or a charm. This is alignment. This is training. This is discipline. Before you take any action in your day, pause for just a few seconds, take a breath, and ask yourself one simple question. What vibration am I carrying right now? If the vibration is fear, acknowledge it. If there's doubt, acknowledge it. If it's confusion, acknowledge it. But do not stop there. Ask a second question. What vibration will serve me better? This question awakens your creative power. It interrupts the automatic flow of your habitual thoughts and gives you the chance to choose deliberately. And when you choose deliberately, you raise your vibration, you shift your frequency, you begin to set into motion a new pattern of attraction. This is where will becomes your ally. You don't have to feel powerful to choose a powerful thought. You don't have to feel confident to choose a confident thought. You don't have to feel ready to choose a thought of readiness. Will is the bridge that carries you from your current vibration to your chosen vibration. And once you choose it, once you hold it even for a moment, the creative power of the mind begins responding. Do this often enough, and your entire life will shift. Not suddenly, not magically, but inevitably. For the law cannot fail. You cannot think one thing and experience another. You cannot hold one vibration and attract its opposite. You cannot sow one seed and reap a different harvest. And now, as we bring this first chapter to a close, I want you to sit with a thought, a truth, that may challenge you at first, but will eventually liberate you more deeply than anything you've believed before. Everything in your life has come through the door of your own mind, and everything that will come is already waiting at the threshold of your next thought. Your mind is wonderful. Your mind is powerful. Your mind is creative. And beginning now, you will learn to use it deliberately, consciously, and harmoniously with the laws that govern this universe. This is the first step, the inward shift, the awakening to your creative nature. Once you grasp this, even faintly, the rest of your life begins to change. And as we move forward together, chapter by chapter, you will not simply learn these truths, you will begin to embody them. Chapter 2. The Mind as a Living Magnet. You've taken the first step by realizing that your thoughts are not shadows passing through your awareness. They are forces, real forces, shaping everything around you. Now it's time to go deeper into this truth by understanding something that most people never stop to consider. Your mind is a broadcasting station, constantly sending out signals, constantly receiving them, constantly interacting with an invisible field of energy that surrounds us all. Whether you are conscious of it or not, you are influencing this field every moment you are awake, and even when you sleep, the impressions you have made upon your subconscious continue to vibrate through it. The mind never stops sending, the mind never stops attracting, the mind never stops shaping. Imagine for a moment that your thoughts are like ripples moving across a vast, silent lake. Each ripple may seem small at first. You may even imagine it disappears quickly. But the truth is that every ripple moves outward in all directions, interacting with other ripples, touching distant shores, returning in subtle ways you may not immediately recognize. When you think a thought, no matter how simple, you have initiated a vibration that travels far beyond your physical body. And here is the remarkable part. These vibrations do not fade into emptiness. They reproduce. They awaken similar vibrations in other minds. Just as a tuning fork causes another tuning fork to resonate when both share the same pitch. This is not metaphorical language. This is the nature of the mind. You have felt it yourself. You have walked into a room and instantly sensed the tension, even when nobody said a word. You have stood beside someone who radiated calm, strength, warmth, or joy, and without a single sentence, you felt their atmosphere influence you. You have also encountered people whose thoughts seemed heavy, whose presence drained your energy, whose internal state you could feel even before you fully understood it. These are not mystical impressions. They are responses to mental vibrations. Your mind does not merely think, it vibrates, and every vibration calls out to the universe, seeking its own kind. Thoughts of fear call forth more fear. Thoughts of confidence summon confidence. Thoughts of lack draw situations that reflect lack. And thoughts of abundance open doors you once thought were shut. You attract what you are in harmony with. You receive what you are tuned to. That is why two people living side by side may experience life in completely different ways. One sees opportunity everywhere, while the other sees only obstacles. One feels supported by life, while the other feels attacked by it. The difference between them is not fate, nor luck, nor chance. It is thought. Let me speak plainly again as your mentor in this moment. Your mind is a magnet, and like any magnet, it does not choose what it attracts consciously. It attracts according to its nature. If you want different results, you must change the nature of your mental magnet. You cannot continue thinking thoughts of limitation and expect life to respond with expansion. You cannot indulge in thoughts of discouragement and hope that life will bring encouragement. And you cannot repeatedly entertain thoughts of unworthiness and expect relationships, opportunities, and experiences that reflect confidence and value. The magnet cannot pull what does not match its vibration. But this truth is not meant to scold you. It is meant to liberate you. Because once you understand that your mind is attracting at all times, you realize something extraordinary. You can change what you attract by changing what you think. You no longer have to feel like a victim of circumstance. You no longer need to wonder why certain patterns repeat. You no longer have to accept what shows up in your life as if it were fate. You are not powerless. You are not helpless. You are not confined to the conditions you see today. You have within you the power to retune your vibration. Let's take this a step further. You are not only sending out vibrations, you are also receiving them. The world is filled with thoughts, emotions, expectations, and beliefs that are flowing through the mental atmosphere. People broadcast their inner world without even realizing it. The fearful broadcast fear, the angry broadcast anger, the hopeful broadcast hope, the confident broadcast confidence. And your mind, if left unattended, will pick up whatever matches its current state. This is why your mood can shift suddenly when you are around certain people, even before a conversation begins. This is why the world feels heavier when you are burdened by worry, and lighter when you are filled with enthusiasm. You are not isolated. You are connected to a sea of thought. And the key to navigating this sea is not to hide from it, nor to fight it, but to raise your own mental level so that you are no longer influenced by the lower vibrations around you. When you consciously elevate your state, when you choose thoughts of strength, clarity, courage, and expectation, you rise above the thick fog of negative thought that surrounds so many people. Suddenly you are not merely receiving, you are radiating. You become the influencer of energy rather than the follower of it. You become a source of clarity instead of a sponge for confusion. You become the one who sets the tone instead of the one who absorbs it. This is what mental mastery feels like. It begins subtly. You notice that certain things no longer bother you. You feel less influenced by the moods of others. You sense an inner steadiness, as if something inside you has solidified. You stop reacting automatically to circumstances. And then something almost magical happens. Life begins reacting to you. You will see people respond differently. You will notice opportunities that were always near, but invisible to your old vibration. You will feel guided, supported, and connected to something greater than yourself. And you will understand that this was not luck, it was alignment. The moment your thoughts became intentional, your life began to reorganize itself around them. This is the creative power of the mind in motion. This is the law responding to your inner state. And this is only the beginning. Chapter 3. The Two Minds Within You. There is a moment in everyone's inner journey when they realize that the mind they have been living with is not a single, unified thing. It behaves differently at different times. Sometimes it feels alert and decisive, and other times it drifts as if operating under its own spell. One moment you feel in command of your thoughts, and the next you are watching them run in every direction without your consent. This inconsistency confuses many people, but it becomes clear once you understand that the human mind is not one mind but two, each playing a different role in shaping your life. You have an active mind, and you have a passive mind. At first glance, they may seem like poetic descriptions, but the more deeply you observe yourself, the more obvious their distinction becomes. The active mind is the part of you that chooses, decides, initiates, focuses, analyzes, and directs. It is the seat of your will. It is the part of you that says, I will think this, or I will do that, or I choose this direction. It is the commander. When you consciously take hold of an idea and move it forward, the active mind is at work. But beneath this surface there is another mind, a quiet, obedient, steady worker. It remembers everything you impress upon it. It repeats patterns without questioning them. It responds to suggestion, habit, emotion, repetition, and vivid imagination. It is the part of you that keeps thinking a thought after you have stopped paying attention to it. It is the part of you that reacts instantly to certain situations because it has learned those reactions through repetition. This is the passive mind, and though it does not choose, it shapes much of your daily experience. It has been forming the background of your life long before you learned its existence. Most people live unaware of this division. They believe that all their thoughts arise from the same place. They believe that every fear, every doubt, every negative impulse is fully under their control, when it isn't. The passive mind absorbs everything it is fed, whether consciously or unconsciously. It takes impressions from childhood, from society, from intense emotional moments, from repeated statements spoken to yourself, from the words of others, from habits of thinking that have been playing in the background for years. And once these impressions are accepted, the passive mind expresses them, reproduces them, and influences your actions and feelings without your permission. Think of this clearly. If you do not take hold of your mind deliberately, you will live the life created by your old impressions. You will react according to patterns formed by moments you barely remember. You will feel emotions that belong to old beliefs. You will make decisions influenced by ancient fears. This is what happens to people who never wake up to their deeper mental processes. They live the life written by their past. But you are not destined to repeat your past. The moment you understand the two minds within you, everything changes. The active mind holds the power of direction. It can choose a new thought. It can create a new belief. It can impress a new pattern on the passive mind. And once impressed, the passive mind will express it automatically, effortlessly, continuously. It will become your new emotional baseline, your new set of reactions, your new way of walking through life. This is why your active mind is the most valuable tool you possess. Through it, you can train the passive mind. And once trained, the passive mind works day and night to manifest the vibration you have chosen. But this requires awareness, discipline, and sincerity. It cannot be done casually. You must become conscious of what you allow your mind to dwell on. You must become intentional about what you repeat to yourself, because repetition is the gateway to the passive mind. What you tell yourself often enough with enough feeling becomes accepted as truth. And once accepted, it becomes the silent force shaping your experiences. Many people attempt to change their lives but fail because they only use their active mind temporarily. They choose a positive thought for a moment or affirm a new idea once or twice, but they do not hold it long enough for the passive mind to accept it. They plant a seed but never water it. They try a new belief for a day but return to their old patterns by evening, and then they conclude that change is difficult. But change is not difficult, it is simply unfamiliar. The passive mind needs repetition, it needs persistence, it needs emotional intensity. Once it accepts an idea, it holds it with astonishing strength. Let me give you an example you already know from your own life. Think of a habit you've had for years, maybe a pattern of worrying or reacting with impatience, or doubting yourself before trying something new. Those reactions feel automatic because the passive mind has rehearsed them countless times. But imagine if you impressed upon it a new pattern: confidence, clarity, calm, expectation. At first, your active mind will need to guide every moment of this new pattern, but if you hold it, the passive mind will eventually adopt it, and the new response will become just as automatic as the old one. Understanding this dual nature of your mind is the key to mastery. You cannot change the passive mind by force. You cannot fight it, argue with it, or suppress it. You must train it gently, consistently, and deliberately by choosing your thoughts with the active mind and repeating them until the passive mind accepts them. This is how new beliefs are formed. This is how new emotional habits are created. This is how the law of attraction becomes a conscious tool instead of an unconscious force. And here is the most empowering truth of all. Once the passive mind accepts a belief, it begins to vibrate with that belief. It broadcasts that vibration continuously, attracting experiences that match it. Your life begins to shift in ways that seem almost magical, but it is not magic. It is law. It is cause and effect. It is the natural outcome of a mind that has been unified instead of divided. You now stand at the threshold of this understanding. Once you master the relationship between your active and passive mind, you will no longer wonder why your life unfolds the way it does. You will know, and you will be able to direct it. Chapter 4. The Will. Your Power to Command Thought. There is a quiet moment in every person's evolution when they discover something astonishing about themselves. They realize that no matter how many thoughts rush through the mind, no matter how many emotions rise and fall, no matter how loud the world becomes, there is still something inside that can say, "Stop," and everything obeys. Something inside that can say, "Go," and the mind begins to move. Something inside that can say, "I choose this," and suddenly a new direction opens. That something is the will. The will is not loud, it does not shout, it does not force itself upon you. It is not tied to emotion, and it is not weakened by fear. It sits quietly at the center of your being, waiting for you to recognize it. Many people mistake the will for strain or effort. They think willpower is something you clench your fists to create, something that requires tension or pressure. But true will is calm. True will is steady. True will is the silent authority that can redirect the entire mind with a single decision. To understand the creative power of your mind, you must understand the will. Without it, the active mind drifts like a feather in the wind, blown around by passing thoughts, external influences, and emotional impulses. But with the will, the mind becomes a disciplined instrument, capable of holding a thought long enough for it to impress the passive mind, capable of rising above fear, capable of choosing its vibration instead of inheriting it from the world. Most people never use their will consciously. They mistake desire for will. They mistake excitement for will. They mistake emotion for will. But desire without will drifts. Excitement without will fades. Emotion without will is unstable. Only will can hold a thought steady long enough for the law of attraction to respond. Only will can quiet the chaotic chatter of the mind. Only will can establish a deliberate direction. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the center of a vast room filled with hundreds of voices. Some of these voices are memories from your past. Some are worried about the future. Some are the opinions of others. Some are the expectations of society. Some are old habits that you never meant to adopt. Some are faint desires. Some are loud fears. Without will, you try to listen to all these voices at once and your mind becomes overwhelmed. But the moment you activate your will, something extraordinary happens. All the voices fall silent, except the one you choose. The will is the director of your inner world. It is the faculty that decides which thought is permitted to stay and which must go. It is the guardian of your vibration. And when you use it deliberately, your entire mental state begins to shift. Think of the last time you felt scattered. Thoughts were pulling you in different directions. You wanted to focus, but the mind would not settle. In that moment, the will had not been awakened. Now think of a moment when you were determined. You made a decision with clarity. You set your focus on something, and everything else faded into the background. That was the will at work. When you choose a thought and hold it with your will, even if only for a few seconds, you activate a level of mental power that most people never touch. This is why the will is essential in the process of aligning with the law of attraction. You must not only desire something, you must choose it. You must not only imagine something, you must hold it. You must not only wish for something, you must fix your mind on it long enough for the universe to respond. Let me speak plainly. You do not need to strengthen your will. You need to strengthen your obedience to it. The will is already strong. It is your loyalty to it that has weakened through years of distraction, emotional reactivity, and habitual thinking. The will does not need to be built, it needs to be used. Each time you choose a thought deliberately, the bridge between your conscious intention and your inner power becomes stronger. The will is not the opposite of surrender. It is the beginning of it. You use your will to choose the vibration you want, and then you surrender the how and when to the deeper intelligence that responds to your vibration. You say, "I choose confidence," and the will establishes it. You say, "I choose gratitude," and the will holds it. You say, "I choose clarity," and the will clears a space for it. Once the vibration is formed, life moves into alignment. You may think this requires great effort. It doesn't. It requires only awareness. When an unhelpful thought enters your mind, you need only say, "Not this," and choose again. When fear tries to take over, you need only pause, breathe, and say, "I choose courage." When doubt arises, you quiet it by choosing certainty. Each choice builds strength. Each choice trains the passive mind. Each choice clarifies your vibration. You have lived long enough reacting to thoughts you did not choose. Now it is time to choose the thoughts you will react to. The will makes this possible. And as you begin to direct your inner world with purpose, you will find that outer circumstances respond in a way that seems almost uncanny. People will treat you differently. Opportunities will appear. Obstacles will dissolve. And you will know that these changes were not coincidences. They were the result of a mind held in place by the quiet, unwavering force of your will. The will is your power to command thought, and once you claim that power, nothing in your life will remain the same. Chapter 5. Rising Above the Negative Current. There comes a time in your mental training when you begin to notice something about the world around you. You see that most people are not thinking, they are reacting. They are not directing their minds. They are being pulled by the strongest vibration in their environment. If the world is fearful, they fear. If the world is angry, they are angry. If the world is doubtful, they doubt. They do not choose their mental state. They inherit it from the collective atmosphere. And yet, without realizing it, they continue to attract experiences that match this borrowed vibration. This is the negative current of thought that surrounds humanity like a fog, and if you wish to rise above it, you must understand it. The negative current is not a mysterious force. It is the accumulation of millions of untrained minds radiating worry, resentment, anxiety, anger, pessimism, suspicion, and self-doubt. It forms a mental climate that affects the sensitive, the unaware, and the unguarded. You have walked into this current many times. You have felt its heaviness in the air. You have sensed it in conversations, in the news, in the collective mood of society, and if you were not alert, you absorbed it. Suddenly, your thoughts were not entirely your own. Your inner world darkened, not because something terrible happened, but because you tuned into the vibration of the collective without even knowing it. This is why mental mastery is essential. If you do not rise above the negative current, you will spend your life reacting to it. You will think thoughts that are not truly yours. You will carry emotional burdens that have nothing to do with your personal experience. You will find yourself discouraged without reason, irritated without cause, and fearful without justification. The negative current is not personal, but it becomes personal the moment you accept it. But here is the truth that will free you. You do not have to accept it. You can hold your own mental atmosphere. You can decide the tone of your inner world. You can choose the vibration in which you live. And once you learn to do this, the negative current can sweep around you without touching you, like a river that flows past a stone. You have already felt moments of this strength. Think back to a time when you woke up with a sense of determination and nothing could shake it. Even if someone else was irritated, you didn't absorb their mood. Even if circumstances were chaotic, you stayed centered. In those moments, your vibration was stronger than the vibration around you. You were not influenced. You were influencing. You were not reacting. You were radiating. And in that state, the negative current had no power. You can make that state your daily baseline. It begins with awareness. When you sense heaviness, anxiety, or discouragement arising without a clear cause, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this mine? You will be surprised how often the honest answer is no. The feeling may be real, but its origin is external. You tuned into a vibration that did not belong to you. The moment you recognize it, you can release it. The moment you say, "This is not mine," the spell breaks. But awareness is only the first step. The next step is elevation. You cannot rise above the negative current by resisting it, fighting it, or trying to push it away. Resistance only strengthens the bond. Elevation is the key. You rise by reaching for a higher vibration, clarity, gratitude, strength, calm, confidence. When you choose a higher thought deliberately, your mind shifts frequencies. It's as if you tune yourself to a different station, one where the negative current cannot reach you. You don't fight it, you surpass it. Imagine two pianos in the same room. If someone strikes a note on one, The same string in the other begins to vibrate. This is resonance. But if the second piano is tuned to a higher octave, the lower vibration cannot activate it. This is how you must become. You must tune yourself higher than the negativity around you. When you do, you stop resonating with fear, anger, and pessimism. You become immune to them. This elevation is not accomplished through intensity. It is accomplished through steadiness. Each time you choose a clear, strong, confident thought, you shift upward. Each time you refuse to dwell on worry, you shift upward. Each time you hold your vibration intentionally, you shift upward. Eventually, you reach a height where the negative current cannot touch you, because it cannot match your frequency. And at this point, something remarkable happens. You begin to attract experiences that reflect your elevated state. People respond to you differently. They sense your steadiness. They sense your clarity. They sense your inner strength. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach begin to appear. Circumstances that felt heavy begin to lighten. You become a point of stability in a world drowning in reaction, and life organizes itself around the vibration you maintain. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is what happens when you cease absorbing the world and begin emanating into it. You stop being shaped by your environment and begin shaping your environment instead. You walk through life like a calm flame in a windy field, untouched, steady, luminous, because the power within you is stronger than the atmosphere around you. The negative current is strong only when your mind is unguarded. The moment you choose your vibration consciously, its power fades. And as this mastery develops, you will discover a profound truth. You do not have to escape the world to rise above its negativity. You simply have to rise within yourself. Once your inner elevation becomes stable, the world cannot pull you down. You are meant to rise. You are meant to hold your own tone. You are meant to be a point of clarity in a world of confusion. And as you continue this journey, you will learn not only to resist the pull of the negative current, but to lift others by the quiet radiance of your own vibration. Chapter 6. Desire. The magnetic force that shapes your destiny. There is a power in you that most people misunderstand, and because they misunderstand it, they either fear it, deny it, or suppress it. That power is desire. Desire has been so misinterpreted that many have come to see it as something dangerous, something selfish, something to be resisted. Yet nothing could be further from the truth. Desire is not weakness. Desire is not greed. Desire is not immaturity. Desire is the very pulse of life moving through you. It is the instrument through which the universe whispers, "This is the direction of your growth." Every great change in your life, every moment of courage, every step into the unknown, every breakthrough you have ever experienced, began with a desire. Even when the desire was faint or fragile, it was still the spark. Desire is the first movement of creation. It is the seed of intention. It is the beginning of the vibration that will eventually attract its own expression. Without desire, nothing begins. Without desire, nothing is created. Without desire, the mind has no direction to move toward. And yet, so many people walk through life desiring nothing deeply. Their wants are shallow, scattered, and half-hearted. They wish they could have this or that, but they do not desire it with any intensity. They hope vaguely, but they do not feel strongly. They declare goals, but their hearts are not in them. A weak desire produces a weak vibration, and a weak vibration produces weak results. The universe does not respond to lukewarm longing. It responds to the mind that knows what it wants. Think of the times in your life when you truly desired something, not merely wished for it, not merely thought it would be nice, but genuinely desired it. Whether it was a goal, a relationship, a change, or an opportunity, notice what happened inside you. Your energy rose, your focus sharpened, your mood shifted. You became more alive, more aware, more purposeful. That is because desire increases your inner vibration. It ignites the will, it awakens the imagination. It begins the process of attraction. Desire is the soul's compass. It points you toward expansion. It calls you into the life you are meant to grow into, not the life you have already lived. And because desire is so powerful, it must be understood correctly. Desire is not about demanding specific outcomes. It is not about forcing reality into a shape you cling to. It is not about craving something from a place of lack. True desire is a quiet but powerful recognition of what resonates with your inner nature. It feels like expansion, not desperation. It feels like clarity, not fear. It feels like a natural forward pull, not a frantic grasping. Many people misunderstand their desires because they confuse surface wants with deeper longings. A surface want is something the mind picks up from comparison, social pressure, or ego. These wants change constantly, and they carry little creative power. Deeper desire is different. It comes from within. It is persistent. It is energizing. It is meaningful. When you feel a true desire, it does not drain you, it strengthens you. It awakens a part of you that may have been dormant for years. You must learn to trust your deeper desires. They reveal the path your mind is ready to create. They are not random. They are not foolish. They are not fantasies. They are invitations. When you honor them, you align with the creative power of your mind. When you ignore them, you cut off a vital source of energy, direction, and purpose. Desire makes you magnetic. It sets a vibration in motion that draws opportunities, people, insights, and resources into your orbit. The stronger and clearer the desire, the more powerful the attraction. But desire must be paired with belief. If you desire something but believe it is impossible, your vibration becomes conflicted. If you desire something but believe you are unworthy of it, you create resistance. If you desire something but fear what it requires, your energy weakens. This is why understanding desire requires understanding yourself. When you feel a strong desire, you must ask yourself a simple question. Do I believe this is possible for me? If the answer is yes, your vibration aligns and the attraction begins. If the answer is no, then your work is not to abandon the desire, but to elevate your belief, to match it. The desire came from a higher part of you. Let your belief rise to meet it. Think of a desire as a note you strike in the great symphony of life. When the note is clear and unwavering, it resonates outward, awakening similar vibrations. People appear who are tuned to that note. Circumstances align, ideas flow, synchronicities multiply. But if the note is weak or unstable, if you doubt, hesitate, or contradict yourself, the vibration cannot sustain itself long enough to attract its corresponding expression. This is why desire requires commitment, not force, not strain. Commitment. A quiet, steady willingness to hold the vibration of what you want, to nurture it, to believe in it, and to act in harmony with it. Desire is the beginning, but the will sustains it. Belief strengthens it. Action expresses it. Some will tell you that desire is dangerous, that it leads to suffering. But desire only leads to suffering when you cling to it with desperation or when you resist the changes it requires. When you understand desire as a creative signal rather than a craving, you realize it is one of the greatest gifts you possess. It shows you where life is calling you upward, and when you follow that call with clarity and trust, desire becomes fulfillment. There is nothing selfish about wanting to grow, to create, to expand, to express more of your potential. Desire is the engine of evolution. It is the mechanism through which consciousness unfolds. When you deny your desires, you deny your growth. When you honor them, you come alive. The universe responds to the vibration of your desire, not your words. You cannot whisper, "I want," while holding a vibration of doubt and expect the world to deliver. You must become the vibration of what you seek. And when you do, life rushes to meet you. Your desires are not random. They are messages. And as you learn to listen, you will discover that each one carries the seed of a greater version of yourself. Chapter 7. Planting Thoughts in the Subconscious Mind. There is a quiet engine running beneath every moment of your life. You rarely hear it, yet it never stops working. It shapes your habits, directs your emotions, influences your choices, and colors your perception of the world. This engine is your subconscious mind. It is the silent builder behind every belief you hold, the guardian of every pattern you express, and the ground in which every seed of thought eventually takes root. You may think you are governed by logic and deliberate choice, but most of what you do, feel, and attract comes from this deeper layer of mind. The subconscious does not argue, does not analyze, and does not question. It accepts whatever is impressed upon it and expresses it with unwavering loyalty. And because it operates automatically, many people spend their entire lives living out patterns they never consciously chose. To master the creative power of your mind, you must understand one of the most important truths about yourself. The subconscious is programmable. It does not care whether the ideas fed into it are empowering or harmful, uplifting or damaging. It simply receives, stores, and expresses. What you repeatedly think, imagine, feel, or affirm becomes the script by which the subconscious directs your experience. This is why the same thoughts keep returning to you. This is why certain emotions appear almost instantly in specific situations. This is why some patterns in your life repeat, even when you consciously want them to change. The subconscious is acting out the instructions you gave it long ago, often without realizing it. And the only way to transform your life is to rewrite those instructions. The method for doing this is simple, but not always easy. You impress the subconscious through repetition, imagination, emotion, and steady intention. This process is called autosuggestion. It is the art of choosing a thought deliberately, holding it long enough with enough feeling, and repeating it consistently until the subconscious accepts it as truth. Once accepted, it becomes automatic. It becomes the new pattern. It becomes your new inner vibration. Some people misunderstand this process. They think affirmations are about reciting words like a ritual, as if the sound itself carried the magic. But the subconscious is not moved by empty statements. It is moved by ideas that are repeated, envisioned, and felt. It responds to conviction, not mere language. You could say, "I am confident," 1,000 times, but if your inner feeling contradicts it, the subconscious receives the contradiction, not the statement. But if you begin softly, gently, and with sincerity, "I am learning confidence. I am becoming more confident. Confidence is growing in me," the subconscious begins to listen. It begins to soften. It begins to accept. This is because the subconscious reacts to impressions, not arguments. It does not respond to force. It responds to consistency. Just as a drop of water can carve stone through steady repetition, your chosen thoughts can carve new paths into the subconscious through continual suggestion. Let me put it plainly and directly, as a mentor would. If you want to change your life, you must change what you tell yourself when no one is listening. You must become aware of the thoughts you repeat, the internal language you use, the quiet statements you whisper about yourself, others, and life itself. These daily mental conversations are instructions written into the deeper layers of your mind, and the subconscious, ever obedient, takes them seriously. People who constantly tell themselves life is hard, "I always struggle, nothing ever works out for me, I am unlucky, I am not enough," are planting seeds that the subconscious will faithfully grow. It does not judge these beliefs. It simply brings them into expression. But people who choose thoughts like "life supports me," "I am capable," "opportunities find me," "I attract what I need," "I am becoming stronger," are planting new seeds, and the subconscious will grow those with equal fidelity. Your job is not to fight the old patterns. Fighting them only energizes them. Your job is to consistently impress new patterns until the old ones lose their power. The subconscious does not hold on to beliefs out of stubbornness. It holds on because you keep feeding them attention. The moment you withdraw your attention and feed the new ones, the balance begins to shift. One of the most powerful techniques you can use is visualization. When you imagine something vividly, your subconscious responds as if it were real. It registers the feeling, the image, the energy. Emotion amplifies this effect. When you imagine your desired state with feeling, calm, confidence, clarity, abundance, the impression sinks deeper. It becomes a seed with potential to grow. And each time you revisit that image, the roots strengthen. You do not need long sessions. A few seconds of focused, sincere thought done consistently are more powerful than hours of scattered effort. The subconscious does not measure time, it measures intensity and repetition. A single moment of genuine belief can outweigh many hours of forced affirmation. And here is something else you must understand. The subconscious speaks the language of the present. It does not understand someday, I will, or when I become. It responds to the vibration of now. When you say, I am becoming more aligned, I am attracting better experiences, I am worthy, I am ready, the subconscious receives these statements as present truth and begins working accordingly. This is why self-talk is not a small matter. It is the foundation of your vibration. It is the blueprint from which your experiences are constructed. You may not always be aware of it, but the subconscious never misses a word, never forgets an impression, never ignores a repeated thought. You are training your subconscious every moment of the day. The question is, are you training it consciously or unconsciously? Once you take control of this process, your life changes from the inside out. Things that once felt difficult become natural. Opportunities appear with less resistance. Certain fears dissolve, new emotions arise, and your entire outlook shifts. This is not a coincidence. It is the result of planting new seeds. Chapter 8. Becoming a Mental Magnet. There is a point in this journey when you begin to sense, not merely understand, that you are far more influential than you ever imagined. You start noticing that when your inner state is stable and elevated, people react differently. Situations unfold more smoothly. Solutions appear with less struggle. You walk into a room and feel as though the atmosphere shifts around you. This is not imagination. This is the beginning of magnetism. People often talk about charisma, confidence, presence, or energy, but these are only different ways of describing the same thing. A mind that radiates instead of absorbs, a mind that attracts instead of chases, a mind that has become magnetic. To become such a mind, you don't need special talents. You don't need to be born lucky. You don't need to force anything. You only need to understand and practice the laws that govern mental vibration. A mental magnet is not someone who tries to manipulate the world, but someone who aligns themselves so powerfully that the world begins to respond. They do not rush. They do not beg. They do not push against life. Their very presence conveys direction and certainty. It is not arrogance, it is inner coherence. When you think clearly, feel steadily, and act deliberately, you create a vibration strong enough for the universe to notice. And when the universe notices, it responds. But magnetism does not begin with action. It begins with desire. A vague, half-hearted desire produces only a faint vibration. A passionate, sincere desire ignites a strong vibration. The moment you genuinely want something, not to escape something else, not to prove anything, but because it resonates with you, your mind begins to organize itself around that aim. Desire focuses attention, and attention focuses vibration. That is the beginning of magnetism. Once you have a clear desire, the will strengthens it. You choose the thought again and again. You hold it even when distractions arise. You feed it with imagination, giving it shape and substance. You allow yourself to feel the emotional tone of having it, and gradually the desire stops feeling like a distant wish and begins feeling familiar, natural, inevitable. This is when the passive mind accepts it, and the moment the passive mind accepts it, you become magnetic to it. Your vibration is now broadcasting a clear signal. The world responds to this signal in ways that seem almost orchestrated. You meet people whose paths align with yours. You recognize opportunities that were invisible before. You feel nudged towards certain actions. You notice synchronicities, small signs that you are moving in harmony with the direction of your desire. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of your inner state. A mental magnet is someone who understands that their thoughts do not travel alone. Every thought carries feeling, and every feeling carries a vibration that calls for its own expression. When your thoughts and feelings point in the same direction, they amplify one another. That is why people who know what they want and believe they can have it seem to move through life with a natural ease. Their inner harmony creates outer harmony. But magnetism is not just about attracting things, it is about attracting things that match who you are becoming. The more you grow, the more life gives you experiences that reflect your growth. This is why your vibration matters more than your actions. You cannot attract abundance from a vibration of lack. You cannot attract love from a vibration of unworthiness. You cannot attract clarity from a vibration of confusion. A magnet does not pull what is unlike itself. So before you ask for anything, look at your vibration. Are you vibrating from fear or faith? From scarcity or expectancy? From insecurity or worthiness? From confusion or clarity? The world responds to the real vibration, not the words you speak. This is why inner alignment is so important. Alignment is not a mystical state. It is simply the coherence between your desire, your belief, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. When these elements point in the same direction, your vibration becomes strong and focused. That is magnetism. Consider someone who wants success but believes they are undeserving. Their desire and their belief contradict each other. The vibration is scattered. The magnet is weak. Now imagine someone who wants success, believes they are capable, thinks about success often, feels inspired when imagining it, and takes actions that reflect that belief. Their vibration forms a single, steady frequency. Their mind becomes a magnet for opportunities, ideas, and people aligned with success. You have felt glimpses of this alignment before. Think of a time when something you wanted came easily, almost effortlessly. You didn't question it. You didn't strain, you simply knew. That inner knowing is magnetism, and it can be cultivated intentionally. The simplest way to strengthen your magnetism is to act in harmony with your desired state. If you want confidence, think confidently, speak confidently, imagine confidently, and behave as someone who is growing into confidence. Do not wait for the feeling to come. Generate it. The subconscious responds to self-generated vibration. When the vibration becomes stable, the magnet becomes strong. Another important aspect of magnetism is emotional clarity. When your emotions are scattered, your vibration is scattered. When you feel something clearly, deeply, consistently, your vibration becomes powerful. This does not mean emotional intensity. It means emotional coherence. A quiet, steady feeling of expectancy is more magnetic than frantic yearning. Calm enthusiasm is more magnetic than restless desire. A relaxed certainty is more magnetic than desperate hope. People often think manifestation requires intense emotion, but intensity without coherence weakens the signal. Think of magnetism as light. A diffused light illuminates everything but focuses on nothing. A concentrated beam can travel miles, penetrate darkness, and draw the eye instantly. The same is true of your vibration. The more coherent it becomes, the more powerful its effect. As your magnetism grows, you will notice something else. You feel less affected by the world and more capable of affecting it. You stop chasing. You stop forcing. You stop worrying. You begin to trust the invisible process unfolding beneath the surface of your life. And that trust strengthens your vibration even more. Becoming a mental magnet is not about controlling the universe. It is about aligning with it. When your mind is clear, your desire is sincere, your belief is steady, and your emotion is coherent, life cannot help but respond. Chapter 9. The Power of Focus. Directing the Creative Current. There is a moment in every seeker's journey when they realize that they are not defeated by lack of intelligence, lack of opportunity, or lack of talent. They are defeated by scattered focus. The mind, when left untrained, behaves like light shining through a window. It illuminates everything, but burns nothing. Only when focused does light gain the power to ignite. Your mind is no different. Unfocused thought warms your intentions. Focused thought transforms your reality. Most people never learn to focus because they believe thought is something that simply happens. They allow their attention to wander to whatever is loudest, most familiar, or closest at hand. They jump from thought to thought like a bird flying from branch to branch, with no destination in mind. By the end of the day, they wonder why nothing in their life has moved. But how could it? Nothing held their attention long enough to build momentum. Focus is the art of choosing one direction and refusing to be pulled away from it, not through strain, not through force, but through clarity. The moment you know what you want, the mind begins to align with it. The moment you choose a desire with sincerity, your thoughts begin to organize themselves around that choice. But focus requires something more than wanting. It requires commitment to a single mental direction. Think of the mind as a river. When it flows wide and shallow, it moves slowly and weakly. But when the banks narrow, the water gains force. It becomes powerful enough to carve stone. Your attention works the same way. If your thoughts are spread across dozens of concerns, desires, fears, and distractions, your energy becomes diluted. But when you hold one aim steadily, the force of your mind begins to cut through obstacles that once seemed immovable. You have experienced this before. Think of moments in your life when you were intensely focused, so absorbed in something that all other thoughts disappeared. Time moved differently. Distractions lost their power. You entered a state of flow where effort felt light and progress felt effortless. That state is natural to you. It is the mind working at its highest capacity, and the more often you enter it, the more magnetic your vibration becomes. To understand focus, you must recognize a simple truth. The mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts with power. It can think multiple ideas, yes, but it cannot sustain two contradictory vibrations. You cannot focus on abundance while constantly worrying about lack. You cannot focus on health while giving energy to fear. You cannot focus on love while nurturing resentment. The vibration you hold most consistently is the one that dominates your experience. This is why choosing a single, clear direction is so powerful. When your desire, belief, emotion, and attention point in the same direction, your vibration becomes coherent. And coherent vibration attracts quickly. It is not that the universe suddenly favors you, it is that you have finally stopped contradicting yourself. Many people weaken their focus by constantly shifting goals. They begin building one desire, then abandon it for another. They take a few steps forward and then retreat the moment discomfort appears. They scatter their energy across countless small wants instead of committing to a single meaningful one. And then they say, manifestation doesn't work. But it does. Their focus simply never held long enough for the creative power of the mind to bring results into form. Consistency is the secret behind focus. Not intensity, not obsession. Consistency. A calm, steady return to your chosen direction. Each time your mind wanders, you gently bring it back. Each time doubt appears, you acknowledge it and quietly redirect your attention. Each time fear whispers, you choose the vibration of your desire instead. You do this again and again until the mind begins to obey you. And once it obeys, your vibration becomes strong. Do not underestimate the power of small efforts made steadily. A single thought held clearly for a moment, repeated often enough, becomes a dominant vibration. A dominant vibration organizes your life. The world responds to the thoughts you hold most consistently, not the ones you think occasionally. Focus is not about forcing the mind into stillness. It is about training it to return to your intention with ease. Over time, the mind learns to prefer clarity over chaos. It learns to resist distraction. It learns to follow your direction. And when the mind begins to follow you, your life begins to follow your mind. One of the greatest obstacles to focus is impatience. People want results instantly. They plant a seed and dig it up the next day to see whether it is growing. They question the process. They doubt their worthiness. They shift desires midstream. Impatience disrupts vibration. When you become impatient, you signal uncertainty to the subconscious, and uncertainty weakens the magnet. But when you choose patience, when you trust the unseen process unfolding beneath the surface, your vibration stabilizes, and stable vibration attracts. Focus also requires saying no, not to the world, but to the unnecessary, to the voices that drain your energy, to the habits that scatter your attention, to the thoughts that do not support your desired direction. Each no strengthens your signal. Each act of clarity sharpens your vibration. Each decision to hold your mental ground transforms your magnetism. When your mind becomes focused, you stop chasing results. You stop reacting to every change in circumstance. You stop doubting your path at every small setback. Instead, you move with quiet certainty. You attract with minimal effort. You create without strain. You live in a state of inner conviction, knowing that the outer world will in time reflect what you hold within. Focus is not a talent, it is a discipline, and once cultivated, it becomes one of the most powerful tools you possess. Through it, your mind becomes a laser rather than a lantern, a force capable of cutting through distraction, dissolving obstacles, and illuminating the path ahead. You were not born to scatter your energy. You were born to direct it. And when you direct it with clarity, consistency, and intention, there is nothing in your life that cannot be transformed. Chapter 10. Living Above Circumstance, the Art of Conscious Alignment. There comes a moment in your mental development when you begin to realize something profound. Life does not move you, you move life. This realization does not arise from arrogance or wishful thinking. It emerges from the quiet understanding that your inner state shapes your outer experience. What you hold within becomes the lens through which you interpret the world, the magnet through which you attract experiences, and the energy through which events unfold. To live above circumstance is not to ignore reality, but to create reality consciously from a higher state of mind. Most people live in reaction. They wake up each day, waiting to see how life will treat them. If the world is kind, they feel good. If the world is harsh, they feel defeated. They drift from mood to mood, depending on traffic, weather, news, finances, or the emotional state of the people around them. Their vibration rises and falls based on external conditions, never realizing that by allowing circumstance to dictate their inner world, they unconsciously reinforce those same circumstances. This is the trap of reactive living. It keeps life exactly as it is, but you are learning something different. You are discovering that your vibration is not a reaction. It is a choice. It is a decision you make every moment. And when you choose your vibration instead of inheriting it, circumstance loses its power. You stop being tossed by the external world and begin to shape it through your inner alignment. Living above circumstance does not mean denying challenges. It means refusing to let them define your vibration. When something unwanted happens, you do not collapse into fear or frustration. You pause, you breathe. You choose your mental position. You acknowledge the situation without surrendering to it. You rise above it internally, and from that elevated place, new solutions, new ideas, new opportunities begin to reveal themselves. The challenge does not disappear instantly, but your relationship to it changes. And that change is everything. The universe responds to your dominant tone, not your temporary reactions. What you hold most consistently, your baseline of feeling and thought, determines what you attract. If your baseline is worry, life gives you more to worry about. If your baseline is gratitude, life gives you more to appreciate. If your baseline is fear, life echoes it. But if your baseline is trust, certainty, and clarity, life brings experiences that match those states. This is why inner work is the highest work. You can rearrange external conditions endlessly, but if the inner pattern remains the same, the outer pattern will eventually return. Changing your vibration is not about escaping your life. It is about transforming the point from which you engage with it. A change in vibration is a change in destiny. To live above circumstance, you must first know the difference between emotion and vibration. Emotions rise and fall like waves. They pass through you. They are momentary. Vibration is deeper. It is the quiet, steady hum beneath your emotional weather. It is the frequency you carry when you are not thinking intensely about anything. It is the tone of your subconscious mind. And that tone is what life listens to. You elevate your vibration not by suppressing emotions or pretending everything is perfect, but by choosing the thoughts you return to, the interpretations you adopt, and the direction you lean toward. Even when fear arises, you do not dwell in it. Even when frustration appears, you do not feed it. You notice, you breathe, and you choose again. Each choice strengthens your alignment. Living above circumstance also requires you to understand something essential about the law of attraction. Life does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. Your desires matter, but your vibration matters more. If you desire abundance but vibrate lack, the vibration wins. If you desire love but vibrate unworthiness, the vibration wins. If you desire peace but vibrate conflict, the vibration wins. The universe does not judge your desires, it mirrors your dominant signal. This is why the most powerful shift you can make is internal. When you become the person who naturally vibrates with your desire, the external world must eventually reflect it. This is not mysticism, it is alignment. You become a vibrational match to the reality you want. You stop reaching for it and begin resonating with it. When you resonate with it, you attract it. When you attract it, you experience it. This is the order of creation. Now, let's speak clearly, because you deserve clarity. Living above circumstance is not a one-time achievement. It is a practice. It is a daily calibration of your inner world. You will have days when the vibration wavers. You will face moments when the old patterns try to pull you back. But each time you choose alignment over reaction, you strengthen a new pathway. Eventually, alignment becomes natural. You no longer have to fight for it. You rest in it. When you live in alignment long enough, something extraordinary begins to happen. Circumstances that once disturbed you lose their power. Challenges that once intimidated you become manageable. Situations that once triggered you begin to dissolve before they reach you, because your vibration no longer resonates with them. You begin attracting a different caliber of experience. Opportunities aligned with your growth, people aligned with your frequency, circumstances aligned with your purpose. You are no longer living according to the world. You are inviting the world to live according to you. To live above circumstance is to understand that nothing external has the authority to dictate your inner state unless you give it that authority. And when you reclaim that inner authority, you reclaim your life. You walk not as someone reacting to fate, but as someone shaping it. You were not meant to be controlled by circumstance. You were meant to rise above it through the quiet, powerful, deliberate use of your own mind.